People in the town of Oga always loved beauty. Women painted their eyes, rubbed their lips with red dye, braided their hair in long patterns, and wore beads to make themselves shine. But among all ornaments, waist beads were the most treasured. They were said to make a woman attractive, to give her confidence, and to hold secret power over men. At first, waist beads were innocent. Mothers gave them to daughters during festivals. Husbands bought them for wives. Girls wore them under their clothes, giggling at the secret sound the beads made when they walked. But one year, something changed. A strange trader entered the town. His name was simply known as Malam Gada, and he sold beads that no one had ever seen before. His beads glowed saintly at night, as if they carried fire inside them. When he spread them on his mat in the marketplace, women gathered instantly, their eyes wide with desire. "These are not ordinary beads," Malam Gada whispered, his voice deep like the sound of a drum. "Whoever wears them will be admired by men. Rich suitors will fall at your feet. Your beauty will shine brighter than the moon." The women laughed nervously, but greed burned in their hearts. Who would not want such power? Who would not want to be desired, worshipped, envied?
And so the sales began. The first to buy was Ngozi, a young girl whose parents were poor farmers. No man had ever looked her way, but after she tied the glowing beads on her waist, things changed overnight. Men began to call her beautiful. Suitors came knocking. She laughed loudly, her voice filled with new confidence. Next was Bisi, the wife of a struggling tailor. After she wore the beads, her husband, who once ignored her, suddenly became restless. He followed her everywhere, begging for her attention, giving her gifts he could barely afford. Soon, almost every lady in Oba had these beads. The market was flooded with whispers. "Did you see how Chinire walks? It must be the beads. No wonder Adaize suddenly has admirers. She is wearing them." But what nobody noticed was the shadow growing in the town. One night, Ngozi woke up screaming. She dreamt of fire chasing her through the forest. When she checked her waist, the beads were burning hot against her skin. She tried to remove them, but they tightened, digging into her flesh until she cried. Bisi too began to change. She became short-tempered, cursing her children, fighting her husband, and wandering at night as if in a trance. People whispered that she was no longer herself. Then, the deaths began.
The first victim was a young man named Emeka. He was seen following Ngozi into the bush at night, his eyes glazed with desire. The next morning, his body was found cold by the river bank, his face twisted in horror. The villagers mourned, but no one suspected the beads. Then, 2 more men died mysteriously after pursuing women who wore the beads. Fear spread. "Is there a curse in our land?" elders asked. But still, the women refused to remove the beads. They were too addicted to the power, too drunk on the attention. It was Mama Ifeoma, the oldest woman in Oba, who finally spoke out. "These beads are not ordinary," she warned. "I have seen such things before. They carry the spirit of seduction, but also the spirit of destruction. If they are not destroyed, they will eat our children alive." Few listened. Many mocked her as jealous of the younger women. But secretly, some began to fear. One day, tragedy struck harder. Bisi's husband collapsed suddenly, foam coming from his mouth. Before he died, he gasped out one word: "Beads." The village erupted in panic. Could it be true? Were the beads killing people? That night, a group of elders went to confront Malam Gada, but his stall was gone. His mat, his beads, his face vanished like smoke. Nobody saw him leave. It was as if he never existed. The truth became clear. He had been no ordinary trader. He was a messenger of darkness, leaving destruction behind. From that day, wearing waist beads became a curse. Women tried to remove them, but many could not. The beads tightened, drawing blood. Some fainted from the pain. Others screamed through the night, calling on spirits to help them. Ngozi lost her mind completely, walking around naked, singing strange songs. Bisi disappeared one night and was never seen again. Fear consumed Oba. Men avoided women who wore beads. Families tied their daughters indoors. Finally, the people begged Mama Ifioma to save them. The old woman gathered the remaining women at the shrine by the river. She lit candles, sprinkled white chalk on the ground, and called on the spirits of the ancestors.
These beads carry evil, she declared. To break their power, you must confess your greed and beg for mercy. The women wept. They admitted they bought the beads for vanity, for pride, for lust. One by one, they stepped forward. Mama Ifioma poured herbs on their waists, chanting in an ancient tongue. Slowly, the beads loosened, falling to the ground with a hiss like snakes. When the last bead dropped, the earth shook. A loud cry echoed from the forest, as if Malam Gada himself was being dragged away by unseen hands. The beads melted into dust, and silence fell over the land. From that day, waist beads were feared in Oba. No woman wore them openly again. They remembered how beauty, mixed with greed, had nearly destroyed their lives. And whenever a young girl asked about beads, the elders told the story of the evil trader and the women who paid dearly for desire. The lesson was clear. Not everything that shines brings happiness. Some beauty carries poison. Some ornaments are chains in disguise. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.